What if I told you the biggest tech company in the world might be losing the AI race? We're talking about Apple, the $3 trillion giant that redefined phones, music, and laptops. But now, in the middle of the biggest tech revolution since the internet, they're weirdly quiet. Why is Apple so late to the AI game? Is their new Apple Intelligence just a fancy name with no real features? And could this silence actually be the first crack in Apple's untouchable image? Let's get into it. The AI shift and the pressure mounting. So here's how these stories usually go. A giant company misses a major shift in tech. And then just like that, poof, they're gone. Remember BlackBerry? Nokia? Yahoo ? All of them were huge until they weren't. And now we're in another one of those moments. A shift, a wave. Whatever you want to call it, AI is everywhere, and it's moving fast. ChatGPT reached 100 million users in 2 months. Google, Microsoft, Meta, Samsung, they all jumped on the train with assistants, AI-powered tools, and wild new features. Meanwhile, Apple kind of just stood there. Sure, they've said things. They've got a name, Apple Intelligence. And they're promising it'll be awesome. But the actual features? Mostly coming soon. And that's becoming a problem. In an industry where speed equals relevance, Apple's usually slow and steady strategy might finally be too slow. Apple's strategy: wait, watch, perfect. Now, to be fair, this isn't new for Apple. They've never been first to new tech. They didn't invent the smartphone. They didn't make the first tablet. They weren't early on wireless charging, OLED screens, or even earbuds. But when they do show up, they show up polished. The iPhone changed everything. The AirPods crushed the competition. Even the Apple Watch became the best-selling watch, not smartwatch, just watch in the world. That second mover advantage has always worked. Until now. Because AI is not like hardware. It's evolving every week. People aren't waiting for perfection. They're using whatever works now. And Google, Microsoft, and even Samsung are delivering new AI tools constantly. In the race for AI dominance, Apple's usual game plan might not just be outdated, it might be dangerous. What Apple's actually released? Alright, so what has Apple actually released? At WWDC 2024, they announced Apple Intelligence. It sounded promising. They hyped Genmoji, which are AI-generated emojis, Image Playground for cartoony image generation, and a few writing tools. They even talked about integrating ChatGPT directly into iOS and, most exciting of all, finally upgrading Siri. But here's the kicker. When the iPhone 16 launched that September, none of the features were ready. Not one. Everything was coming soon. Then came iOS 18.1. Finally, some of the writing tools showed up. Not bad, but also not that impressive. Then 18.2 added Genmoji and Image Playground. Fun? Sure. Game-changing? Not really. The only truly useful feature didn't show up until iOS 18.3, and even that was half-baked. The first glimpse of real potential. Now, I'll give credit where it's due. When iOS 18.3 finally dropped, we got Visual Intelligence, a camera-based feature that could scan your environment, recognize context, and act on it. Stuff like reading a poster and suggesting an event you should add to your calendar. That's cool. But alongside that, Apple quietly disabled notification summaries for news and entertainment apps. Why? Too many mistakes. And that new Siri? The one that was supposed to understand screen content, interact more naturally, and make apps work hands-free? Still, not here. Even Apple's most useful AI features feel like fragments, good ideas that aren't quite finished. When demos say everything without saying anything. Now here's something wild. Apple deleted an ad that showed the new Siri in action. In the video, someone asked Siri, "Who was that guy I met at Cafe Grenelle a few months ago?" And Siri answered with the name, pulled from calendar data or messages. Impressive, right? Except that functionality doesn't exist. It was only in the ad. And after people started asking questions, Apple removed the video. It's giving serious AirPower vibes. Remember that wireless charging mat they promised? Demoed it, never launched it. It's also giving Tesla robot energy. Flashy reveal, no real product. Apple's usually better than this. When even Apple is relying on marketing to sell something they can't demo, it's fair to ask if the tech is even real yet. The weird disconnection between hype and reality. The strangest part? Apple Intelligence is everywhere. Keynotes, website banners, billboards. It looks like the biggest leap since the iPhone. But behind the scenes, it's nowhere near finished. And internally? The vibe isn't great. There have been reports of frustration from Apple employees, internal meetings, even whispers that people are calling the situation embarrassing. Because when the whole world is watching, and you keep saying soon, the clock starts ticking louder. Apple's spotless reputation doesn't protect them from AI's fast pace, and right now, they're slipping. The bigger issue, is AI even Apple's thing? And here's the real kicker. Maybe AI just doesn't fit Apple's DNA. They're a hardware company at heart. iPhones, iPads, Macs. They make sleek, powerful devices and earn billions doing it. But AI, that's data heavy. It's messy. It's evolving fast. It thrives in open platforms and developer ecosystems, things Apple usually controls tightly. And developers? They're not always thrilled with the direction Apple's taking. If Siri can summon an Uber without opening the app, that's great for users. But for Uber? Less engagement, less branding, less control. Apple might win by staying Apple. But in this new AI world, that might not be enough. What history teaches us? Remember Nokia? Dominated the phone industry. Then smartphones came, and Nokia didn't pivot fast enough. Same with BlackBerry. They were everywhere. Until they weren't. Tech history is full of giants who thought they were too big to fail, until they did. And while Apple is obviously not BlackBerry, you can see how these things start. You miss a key shift, you hesitate, you overpromise, you underdeliver, and slowly, people stop caring. Apple's not doomed, but this might be the first time in years where they're clearly behind and people are noticing. So here's the big takeaway. Apple can catch up. Maybe they surprise us this summer with a fully upgraded Siri, groundbreaking features, and a tight rollout that reminds everyone who's boss. But right now, it feels like Apple Intelligence is more of a brand than a breakthrough. And in a space where other companies are launching, iterating, and evolving every month, that gap is only getting bigger. If Apple wants to own the AI future like it did the smartphone era, it needs to move, and fast. Now, if you found this breakdown helpful, send it to a friend who's been wondering what's really going on with Apple and AI. Hit like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.